What is your most shameful sex masturbation story? My mom is a heavy-set woman, and it's pretty easy to hear her walking around the house. She was upstairs while I was with my GF downstairs and we start getting all freaky deaky. We take it to the kitchen where she got down for the money shot, only for me to see my mom peeking around the corner right as I came. That was a real awkward dinner later that night. Best friend's family just got a sick brand new computer setup. Beautiful entertainment center and brand new comfy computer chair. He had internet. I didn't. We waited till his parents went to bed. He snuck out and did his thing, and came back into his room and signaled it was my turn. I snuck to the bathroom, rolled up some tissue so I'm well prepared, did my thing, and then realized I missed the tissue. Stood up and checked my trousers. Nothing. Checked the floor. Nothing. Half a bucket of CM chilling on this nice fabric of the computer chair. The worst part was I had to sneak back in, wake my friend up and break the bad news to him. I still remember the two of us scrubbing the heck out of that chair, and I don't remember the lie we told his parents in the morning about the chair being soaked, but that's how the chair got the name computer chair. That's definitely a best friend. I remember being little and realizing if I sat a certain way on a chair and moved around it felt really good. I was really young. Pre-puberty. Didn't know what sex was really. I was in class doing that and a teacher asked me if I needed to use the bathroom. I think back on it now and I'm so embarrassed. I have epilepsy. One night I was going at it in my bed and lo and behold I have a seizure. So naturally my parents hear something and have to come into me seizing on the bed dong out pee on the computer. Very embarrassing to have to find out from them since I lose a bit of memory of the event and am unconscious during it. All I can say is it must have been one heck of an orgasm to make me seize, more than the usual jerky cooming movements anyway. Told at a family reunion in 20 years, and the worst part was his eyes rolled up into the back of his head. He was foaming at the mouth but he didn't stop jerking it. When I was a kid, I stumbled upon one of those scrambled spice channels and saw some anal. Didn't realize you could stick stuff up there, so I had the bright idea of shoving one of those multicolored pens up my butt. Went so far, it got stuck, and I spent a good hour trying to push it out. Ended up getting small hemorrhoid that I have to this day. Doctor keeps telling me to eat more fiber, but I know the truth. Brul mayo. At a sleepover with a friend he pulled out some nudie magazines he had. He was in a chair playing a video game and I was behind him on his bed jerking it because I'd never seen something so explicit. I was 12 or 13. I was convinced that he didn't know because I was trying to be stealthy but he probably knew and was embarrassed or doing me a solid and looking the other way. At the age of 12/13 I had a local paper round. Nothing too taxing. Except for Sundays when the press barons of Fleet Street make a concerted effort to give every paper person in the country a hernia. Anyway, there was a flat on my round that regularly had Metal Hammer delivered, a metal magazine that often featured scantily clad ladies of a rock persuasion. Well, one day they were particularly scantily clad, and my teenage hormones couldn't take it, so I had a wank. I'd like to say I had the sense to at least hide in a bush. I'd really like to say that, but no, I just stood there at 6:30 AM in the morning knocking one out in someone's front garden. I'm 45 now, and it still haunts me. You were just showing dominance over your block. Visiting my cousin in Florida, they had a pool. Naturally, he wanted to show me a trick. So we got in the pool and he said if you hold your dong up to one of the jets, you can CM. He went to one jet, I took another. He was right. We dropped clouds in that pool, did the all hand scoop and toss, and that was that. This is legit my story except I was at my grandparents' friend's house. You're not alone in that shame. So I sometimes get sleep paralysis, especially if woken up suddenly. At my old work there was a break room with a couch that became the nap room for late swing and grave shift. I was napping in there one night and it was cold so I was curled up facing the back and had my hands between my thighs. After some time one of my co-workers came in, older, very religious woman. I heard the door open and instantly woke up. I tried to move but found I couldn't at first. As I tried the paralysis started clearing but it was a few seconds before I could do more than rock back and forth, with my back turned, and my hands between my legs. She exclaimed oh my, stammered an apology and quickly closed the door, and never made eye contact with me again. I was in an argument with my sister. I was aged somewhere between middle school and late teens. She is 3 years older. She started mocking me in the middle of the argument, and one of the things she did was imitate the deep sigh I would make when I finished masturbating. She didn't just imitate me, she said what it was. I had no idea anybody even heard me, and my bedroom shared a wall with my parents' room. She did this in front of at least one parent. ETA 1. Thank you for the awards too. I'm a woman. Ha, she didn't go for the jugular, she took the whole neck. I was like 27 and driving my buddy's Datsun pickup back to Colorado from Illinois. Stopped for gas and bought some weird condom with like spikes on it. This was the 80s when bowling alleys, gas station bathrooms and bars all had rubber dispensing machines. So driving across Nebraska I got pretty bored and started wondering about it. I opened the package to look at it, one thing led to another and well, you know. So when I'm done I throw the thing out the window in disgust and shame and continue with the drive. I stop again for gas about 500 miles later and to my horror notice that the bright yellow spiked condom with a load of jizz oozing out of it has welded itself to the side of the truck and been flapping in the wind the whole time. It's like organic epoxy or something. That's what you get for littering. I was in the bathroom masturbating when suddenly I walked in on myself. Then I woke up and jizzed in my shorts. Most pathetic wet dream ever. Jizzception. As a dumb teenager with a long distance girlfriend, we had to get creative in order to get off together. So we'd dirty talk over text, but mostly we just video call and masturbate. Cut to me lubing up a plastic pencil holder thing and sticking me dong in it because it honestly felt great. Like a hard fleshlight with extra suction. And then my mom walks in. She left but I was so embarrassed and furious at the intrusion that I couldn't get in the mood with the girl again that night. The girl found it freaking hilarious. But yeah, it's not fun when your parents just swing open the door and give no shoots about your privacy. My mom still rams open my door like a SWAT team bashing through the front door of a suspect of a serious crime. I just want to wank in peace lol. When I was like 13 my younger sister, 7 at the time, walked in on me and I threw my pants half on so fast when she looked at me with a face of, what I just said. Whoa, you scared the pants right off me. I will never forget this day. Honestly, I think it's one of my better moments. This is incredible. Me and my girlfriend at the time parked in a parking garage to spend some time in the back seat. We went twice. And just as we were about to go for round 3, there is a knock on the window. We don't know how long dude was standing there. We still laugh about this 10 years later. I have one for mine and my husband. XD. For me I wasn't actually masturbating, but when I was a teen, there were these herbal essence commercials where the women would scream out like they're having orgasms while washing their hair. I asked my older cousin why they do that. I'm not sure if he was playing a joke, or just didn't know and was improvising. Both are plausible for him. He told me the yelling helped circulate the blood in my scalp, so the shampoo worked better. As you'd imagine, I have a shower with said shampoo, and start screaming like the ladies in the commercial. I didn't notice a difference in my hair, but thought maybe it was a repetition thing. Shortly after, my dad called the house from his garage man cave clearly trying to hold in laughter and said I just wanted to make sure you knew Jeff and I are out here. I answered oh nice, completely oblivious to the fact he was warning me, and that he and his friend heard me screaming like I'm having the best orgasm of my life. He actually still doesn't know the details lol. I told my sister and my mum very recently though. They howled for like 2 hours straight. As for my husband, I always noticed he had this scar along the shaft of his penis. It never bothered me and I always thought it was interesting. Once we were comfortable enough to ask about that kind of thing, I inquired about it. He told me when he was much younger, he realized the pleasures of a jetted bathtub. One day he inserted his penis into one of the jets, allowing the water pressure to do its work. He admitted it felt amazing at first until the water stream caught under his foreskin and literally blew up his penis like a balloon lol. No long lasting damage, besides the intriguing scar, but holy crap he's such a champ for laughing along with me lol. I think he was just relieved he got to share the story with someone XD. Well, it's comforting to know what my few months on nightmares are gonna be about, lol. This happened when I was like 14. My friend was showing me some pee and we both got frisky, so we went to lay on the floor on either side of his bed so we couldn't see each other and rubbed one out. Every time I think of this I want to gouge my eyes out. The cringe. I definitely remember watching pee with two friends around that age, and each person taking a long bathroom break in between LMAO. I was around 13. My room doors were on the right side of my table and they would open with back facing the table. My father knocks. I put something over my crotch fast. He opens the door. I only managed to pause the video and take off headphones. Then we have a dialogue. Hey dad. Hey, you have to do the dishes. Yee. Okay, will do. Okay, don't forget. He proceeds to close the door. Things like that happened multiple times. Now I know that he always knew, as my room probably smelled like CM. Well, at least you got yourself covered. Meanwhile, I was caught by my dad holding my erect chicken off. I said I am just scratching it because an ant just bit my chicken. So I was at a hotel with my girlfriend that I had been with for a couple of weeks. We ate a ton of pizza and then had sex a while after. Halfway through sex I start to feel sick, so I leave to go to the bathroom. Instead of being sick I just fart really loudly for like a minute straight. I was mortified. She probably respected and appreciated that you went to the bathroom instead of ripping one in bed. When I was a teenager I did the deed in my bed, and when I finished it was so powerful that some of it hit me in the face. I cleaned everything up, wiped my face off, and moved on with my day. Later that day I had a haircut. I was sitting in the chair while my stylist cut my hair and she says, "Oh, it looks like you have some shampoo left in your hair from a shower earlier." I look in the mirror and she's pulling a chunk of CM out of my hair. I turned beet red, and while I don't think she ever figured out it wasn't shampoo, I just sat there mortified for the rest of the haircut. She knew. Don't know what I was thinking. Rubbed one off in class under the table. To this day I swear to God I've no idea how no one noticed, unless they did and spared me the mortification. To them I shall always salute in gratitude. They noticed. There was a guy in my classroom that used to jerk off during class. Everybody knew. Neither sex nor masturbating. It was late at night, like 11:30ish, and I was 15. Mid 2000s. I was reading a book in my room and it was a hot night, so I decided to get butt naked. To get more of a breeze to my nethers, I lifted my leg up and put a foot up high on my bookshelf next to the bed. My parents were normally courteous and would knock before entering, but without warning my dad burst into the room. He stared at me, lying there with my balls faced directly at him, legs akimbo like a sign. My dad told me that my nan had had a brain hemorrhage earlier in the evening and that she wasn't going to make it. He asked me to put my book down, put some pants on and meet him downstairs to go to the hospital. I closed my legs and obliged. OMG, that hits everything on the unlucky, funny, sad, fricked up scale. I'm so sorry. Watching pee in my bedroom when the sound stopped on my iPad, I thought, weird, so I turned it up. I kept turning the volume up until I heard it coming through the wall. My dad had switched the Bluetooth speaker on in the lounge and I was blaring kink noise at deafening volumes straight in my parents' faces. I stayed in my room for about the next 72 hours. This is a true story. Say what you will about my generation. Dial-up internet. No webcams to speak of. More virus P than non-virus P. But at least we didn't have to worry about broadcasting our kink to other people by accident, lol. Not me, but in my 7th grade year I had a kid in my math class who would jerk it during the lesson. People knew, and whenever someone coughed 3 times that meant he was doing it. This just happened a few weeks ago. Wife went out to the store and I had the house to myself. So, naturally it was time to masturbate with reckless abandon. Unfortunately she came home and heard me. I'm rather vocal. She didn't want to startle me, so she didn't say anything. A couple minutes later, still not realizing she was home, I hear from downstairs, "Do you feel better?" I was like, "Ah, what do you mean?" "You know what I mean." I shrank into a singularity of shame and embarrassment. We had a good laugh about it later. Haha, I'm waiting to be caught, but I'm a ninja. When I was in my teens, I masturbated constantly, at the drop of a hat. This wasn't limited to at home. If I was in an empty public bathroom, I'd often rub one out there. 2. At 19, I had stopped at a gas station after a rough night at work. In the restroom, I decided to rub off some stress. So I rolled up a newspaper, squirted some hand soap generously into the tube, and went to town with my rudimentary fleshlight. Halfway through, my dong was burning. I looked down to see blood staining the newspaper. Turns out, the liquid hand soap was by a brand called Lava. It had tiny particles of pumice stone in it. I had effectively rubbed little cuts and grooves in the skin of my dong, and basically turned it to hamburger. It took a couple of painful weeks to heal. Doing that in a gas station bathroom with newspaper and hand soap sounds like more of a hassle than an enjoyable time. Told this story before, but I once decided to masturbate before supper because I was a frisky little teenager full of hormones. So, I closed my door and put on my headset. After I was done, I noticed I had a plate of hot food next to me on the desk. Apparently I had missed supper being ready and my dad had just walked in behind me and put the food on my desk while I was going at it. He never mentioned it and still haven't discussed it to this day, but in hindsight I really wasn't as subtle as I thought. Remember, he could have walked out and not left the plate, but he wanted you to know. I used to have quite high levels of frisky when I was younger, and sometimes when I was with friends, I pretended to have to take a pee to go masturbate. I was never caught or anything, so it wasn't that embarrassing, but still a bit shameful. I masturbated to a guy fricking a little person, throwing them around, putting them in unconventional position, and I'm pretty sure they did a helicopter at one point. After I finished, I didn't watch pee for a few days. OMFG, as a teen I would call those hotlines, get dudes' numbers and have a ton of phone sex, like constantly. For some girls too. In a hoe this one night I thought my dad was at work and was like, heck yeah, now I can be as loud as I want because I have the house to myself. So I'm into IT, being loud as frick, like leg up on the wall straight going to pound town on myself with some guy on the phone giving an equal performance. When it grinds to a horrifying halt because there's a bang on my door. It's my dad who was at dinner and now thinks there's someone in the room with me. He tells get decent because I'm coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He throws open my door. I'm in bed alone. He opens the closet, looks at the windows, fast as he can, then goes, are you on the fricking phone? It's that why the phone bill is so goddamn high. For frick's sake, put your leg down was the last thing he said leaving the room. I still had my leg up on the wall FML, thank god I was under a blanket, but still, bloody humiliating. Did not change my hobby though. Haha, shameless. 8th grade math class. My desk was dead center of the room. I jacked off through my pocket. No idea if anyone ever noticed, but it was probably my most desperate wank ever. Trust me, if you were caught they would have called you the mathsturbator for the rest of your life. I have a ton, but first that comes to mind would be the realization that I could masturbate. I started masturbating pretty young, 7 or 8, and thus didn't really understand what I was doing. Just that if I rubbed my dong on a pillow for a long time it felt pretty good. Then realized after a couple dozen times I could use my hand over my boxes and it felt better and I could be more secretive. Finally hit the apex after a few hundred sessions that I could just go hand straight on dong, and now I'm stuck with the memories of humping a pillow and basically rug burning my dong with my boxers for a few months. 2. Masturbating everywhere. As a teen I masturbated just about any place I frequented. This includes every room in our house and every bed, each of my friends' houses, church, school, sports practice, road trips, flights, you name it, I jerked off there. Once I was 24 and learned more about my substance abuse addictions, I found out that you could be addicted to sex as well. Still struggle with it at times and get confused that my wife doesn't want to have sex every opportunity we can, but she understands and still loves me. When I was a kid my parents were out to dinner or something, so I was home alone. I'd recently come across a VHS recording of a pee on some random tape in the family movie cabinet, so I decided to take advantage of the opportunity. I didn't have a VCR in my room and doing it the living room just seemed reckless. Apparently time flies when you're having fun, and I didn't hear when my folks got home. They walk in on me watching Debbie Does Dallas. with their vibrating muscle massager down my pants trying to see M for like the 10th time. I was freaking mortified. I had heard them in the hall like 2 seconds before they entered the room, and luckily the remote control was right next to me and I was able to shut off the pee, although I'm sure they heard. I mumbled something about my legs being really sore from pay and said I was just massaging my thighs. The next day when they were out of the room, I snuck in and took the tape out of the VCR and put it back in the cabinet. They never called me out, and we never spoke of this again. I had sex with the bishop's daughter in the church's mother's lounge. A young girl walked in on us and ran away really fast. Yes, there were some consequences. Camp Irifjan, Kuwait. Small porta potty, crap clogged up. Literally can see 1K soldiers' crap coming up out of the pipes. Flies everywhere, 110 degrees, sweat dripping down my face. Boogers and crap smeared everywhere. Most difficult jack ever. Tactical relief. Back when I lived at home, I was chocking the chicken at like 5 AM. Whether I was up all night or woke early, I can't remember. While in the middle of the act, I get a message from Pop saying nothing better to do. Went to Canada with friends and to meet up with a girl I'd been talking to online. She met us, seemed cool, and we all had an awesome night on the town. Among the bad decisions I made that night, I have to say the worst was the McDonald's poutine. After the night wrapped up and we all went to our hotel rooms, things got hot and heavy between us, until an awful gurgle came from my guts and I started to feel unwell. I excused myself and went to the bathroom thinking I just need to let a good fart go. Instead, I proceeded to have the most violent diarrhea of my life, as close to the Dumb and Dumber scene as a human can get without a SFX team. Did I mention this was in the bathroom of the hotel room I was sharing with this attractive woman I had just finally got to meet Ireland was mid-shag with? It was so freaking loud my friends in the next room over texted me asking if we were all right. Best first impression ever. Still kills me just thinking about it, and I've never eaten a McDonald's poutine again. You'd think not eating gravy from McDonald's would be an innate instinct. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.